Today on the Bandrew Says podcast, we're getting demonetized because we'll be discussing OnlyFans banning adult content, and we will also be discussing some changes that YouTube is making to their search algorithm, so go ahead and stick around. Okay, let's start with discussing the OnlyFans topic, and I have seen posts all over the place saying that OnlyFans is banning all adult content. Every single person who posts explicit content to OnlyFans is getting banned. I don't think that's the case, and when I was reading an article about this, I was shocked to see how many people were saying that. Let me read this to you. This is the first couple of lines of this article. Starting in October, the company will prohibit creators from posting material with sexually explicit conduct on its website, which many sex workers use to sell fans explicit content. They'll still be allowed to put up nude photos and videos, provided they're consistent with OnlyFans' policy, the company said Thursday. OnlyFans said it will provide more guidance on its policy at a later date. And the reason I was surprised by that is the coverage or the framing that I've seen is that you won't be able to post any nudity on OnlyFans anymore. But maybe I was misinterpreting the way that people were framing it, but that's how I interpreted it. But based on the first couple of lines of this article, they're still going to be allowed to put up nudity on their website, on OnlyFans, nude photos and videos. But there are going to be some changes, and I did find an article from The Verge which outlined all of the changes to OnlyFans' policy. And before I even start reading this is where my channel or this video or this podcast gets demonetized completely. Here is a list of the changes, and if you are watching the video, you will see a list of them right here. Do not upload, post, display, or publish content on OnlyFans that shows, promotes, advertises, or refers to sexually explicit conduct, which means actual or simulated sexual intercourse, including genital to genital, oral to genital, anal to genital, or oral to anal between persons of any sex, actual or simulated masturbation, any exhibition of the anus or genitals of any person which is extreme or offensive, actual or simulated material depicting bodily fluids commonly secreted during sexual conduct, all existing content that shows, promotes, advertises, or refers to sexually explicit conduct, which has the meaning given to it in Section 5B of this policy, must be removed before December 1st, 2021, or by any other date which we communicate to users. There you go. That's the policy update. That's the change. It does not sound as though all nudity will be banned, but they will not be allowing for hardcore pornography on their website. And to be honest, I was shocked by this because my understanding of OnlyFans was it was just a bunch of really popular social media stars that took pictures of their boobies and posted it on there, but it seems as though there's a lot more going on and that's not going to be allowed anymore. But the thing that I find disconcerting about this policy and pretty much every policy online is the subjectivity or the vagueness of it. And the one portion that sticks out to me is don't post images of certain things that are extreme or offensive. Extreme and offensive are not properly defined terms here. They don't say, this is the line, this is where it becomes extreme or offensive, especially offensive. That is extremely subjective. It's going to be different from person to person. So that leaves the door wide open to OnlyFans or for OnlyFans to come out and say, you know what, we found this to be offensive, or somebody complained, found it offensive, we're going to remove the content, or we're going to strike your channel or your profile, whatever it is, and ban you. And I think that's going to be the main point of contention for the most people, the vagueness of that, the ability to claim anything as offensive and use that as the justification to remove content. But what can you do with this information? I hate to say it, but the only real course of action that I see here is to change the content that you publish to OnlyFans and remove the content that violates this new policy. I do imagine there will be a lot of people who continue to publish to OnlyFans who have developed their audience there and they abide by this policy while simultaneously starting a new account on the inevitable competitors that will pop up, because this is leaving quite a big hole in the market. No pun intended there. I apologize, YouTube, and to everybody watching and listening. It's inevitable that there will be competitors trying to fill that hole. Again, I apologize. I can't stop myself. I apologize. This is serious because a lot of people are going to be hurt by this. But I think you will need to follow the policy if you want to continue to use OnlyFans, and then go start an account on the inevitable competitors that pop up. And now let me go ahead and pull from the Bandrew Says podcast Greatest Hits. I'm going to say something that I seem to say almost every single week. I know I don't say it that often, but it seems like it. This is exactly why you need to have your own website, your own domain, and your own space online that you own. Because if you develop your entire career, your entire audience on somebody else's platform, it can be taken away with the snap of a finger. OnlyFans got pressure from external parties. That led to them changing their policy. That policy change is leading to a lot of people's careers probably being altered. A lot of sex workers' careers and income streams being removed. So this is why you need to have your own website. And it's not just exclusive to sex workers. This is for everybody who creates stuff online. If you make YouTube videos, YouTube can and will ban you. I was banned. I didn't even do anything wrong, but I was banned. That's why I have a website. If you make podcasts, you can be removed from podcatchers. Your RSS feed can be blacklisted. There's a lot of reasons why you ought to have your own domain, your own website, and drive traffic there. Don't just have a splash page. Have a reason for people to go to your website. Aggregate all of your content. Make it easy for people in case they want to see everything that you do. That's what I do, and that's what I would recommend. Have your own website, have your own domain, drive traffic there, and for all of those who are going to be affected by this, you're going to have to abide by the policy and create an account on the competitors that pop up to fill that hole. I can't stop myself. I apologize. I will link the Bloomberg article as well as the Verge article, which outlines all of the changes to this content, to the OnlyFans platform. And best of luck to everybody who has been publishing to OnlyFans. I hope you're able to work everything out. Next, let's talk about some lighter news, and this is from YouTube. They put out a blog post this last week, which I will read some to you. I will also link it in the episode notes, and they are making some huge changes to YouTube search results, as well as accessibility of videos on the platform, and I am really excited about these. First, they are going to be allowing people to search chapters in videos. The blog says, up until now, when you browsed for a video to watch on YouTube, you would see a thumbnail image of each video. It gave you a chance to gather a quick snapshot of the video's content. Now you'll be able to make even more informed decisions about what you're going to watch through video chapters directly in the search page. When available, these time-stamped images detail the different topics covered in videos and let you better evaluate the video you're about to watch. You can also jump directly to the section most relevant to your specific interest. If you couldn't tell by the fact that I have had timestamps in all of my videos for the last 4 years or so, I think this is great, because I think that people who are using YouTube search are looking for a specific piece of information most of the time, and allowing users to get that information that they're looking for as quickly as possible is going to lead to a better user experience, and that's ultimately going to increase trust and usability of the entire YouTube platform. If more people get value out of YouTube, next time they have an issue or one of their friends has an issue and says, I don't know how to solve this, how do I solve it? Now they will say, hey, go to YouTube, search it there. You can find exactly what you're looking for, and it doesn't have a bunch of nonsense of people saying, hey, subscribe to my channel, so give me 1,000 thumbs up within the first minute. They can bypass all of that nonsense and get exactly what they're looking for right away. I think this is going to be great for YouTube. Or maybe I'm biased because I have sacrificed my watch time for years by including these timestamps and chapter markers, and I'm thrilled to see them implementing this. Hopefully, it will prioritize my videos. Next, they are going to be rolling out more auto translations and auto captions. They say, we're starting to show search results from other languages with automatically translated captions, titles, and descriptions when relevant content in the local language isn't available. This means that someone in Thailand can learn about quantum physics from a professor at MIT, or viewers in Brazil can explore the Grand Canyon from home with captions in their local language. We'll start supplementing search results with English videos and plan to expand to more languages. Our hope is that all global content will become more accessible through translated captions and help creators reach a more global audience. Again, this is an update that I am really excited about. I think this is a positive thing. This is just expanding your potential audience. And if you are a YouTube content creator, that is going to be beneficial to you. I don't see any downsides here. Oh, you have more possibility of gaining a viewer because now it is not limited by those who speak your language. That is a huge benefit for you. A couple of years ago, I got some emails from people asking if they could take my reviews of microphones and add their voiceover in their language. In those cases, I didn't approve it because that would defeat the entire purpose of my videos. I started making my videos because I wanted to make reviews using the microphone that I am reviewing, as opposed to just talking about it. And if somebody was doing voiceover on my videos in a different language, chances are they're not going to have every single microphone that I'm reviewing. They're not going to be able to do the music covers or any of that. And this seems like that will solve the problem for me, because now the viewer who does not speak English will still be able to hear how the microphone sounds while I'm speaking, but they still won't know what I'm saying. But they will have the captions, which will tell them what I'm saying. So they will get the benefit of the reviews of my videos, hearing the microphone in use, and then they will have to rely on the captions. I just think this is great. It's going to help people reach a potential larger audience, and I'm thrilled that they're doing it. And this last one, this is fascinating. YouTube is going to include external search results in YouTube search results. They say, we also recognize that not all searches may have enough high-quality or relevant video content to fully address what you're looking for. To better surface information you need, we've recently started experimenting with a new feature to complement search results with website links and other formats from Google Search. It's currently available on mobile devices in India and Indonesia, but we'll consider expanding to additional countries based on user feedback. And that is pretty much the entire blog post, but like I mentioned, I will link it in the episode notes in case you want to read the entirety of it. But what do these updates tell us? First, which I think is the most interesting, is I think YouTube might be deprioritizing watch time and prioritizing some new kind of metric about value added for the viewer. I don't know how they would calculate that. Maybe it's from those rare surveys you get. Was this video helpful? How was it helpful? Was it informative, life-changing, super duper happy, whatever? Maybe they're basing it off of that. I don't know. But it seems as though including timestamps in the search results is going to decrease watch time, which was a huge factor in the YouTube algorithm over the last couple of years. Watch time and percent completed were big factors of the algorithm according to YouTube gurus. But with YouTube adopting chapter markers, and with YouTube now rolling out links to chapters specifically, it seems as though they are prioritizing user experience over watch time or percent completed, because I think they're realizing people will spend a lot of time filling videos out to increase watch time, trying to drag people through to the end against their will almost. I'm going to tell you this at the very end of the video, so stick around. All these little manipulative tricks that people use to get people to watch more of their video, when it's really not adding any value, I think we're going to see a decrease in that. I hope we're going to see a decrease in that. And it's not me dogging on anybody for doing that. I get it. That's the system. That's the system. You got to play the system. I just don't like playing in the system. I'm going to make videos the way I want to make them. And it seems like, hopefully, this will benefit people who have a similar approach to YouTube as me, where it says, here's the content that you want. Here are the timestamps. Get it and get out. Go about your life. Don't waste your time watching me. Go do something. So hopefully that's going to actually happen. But I could be completely wrong. I just couldn't imagine YouTube altering search results to provide chapter markers to exactly what the individual is looking for, which in turn will ultimately decrease watch time and decrease percent completed, and then penalize the creator. I can't imagine YouTube would penalize the creator for using the tools that they have provided. Although maybe this is a case of compartmentalization, where you have 3 separate teams. You have the feature team, who is trying to make the best viewing experience, where they add chapter markers. You have the search team, which is saying, hey, those chapter markers sure are cool. Let's use those. And then you have the algorithm team, who is saying, make people watch more content. So maybe that's the case, where you have 3 separate teams who don't talk to each other, just doing what they think is best. And maybe this will damage and harm creators. I have no idea how well communication within YouTube works. I would like to think that it works well enough that they aren't going to roll out, develop, and promote these features that ultimately harm creators. That's my wishful thinking. Hopefully this will be good for us. Hopefully this will be good for creators who prioritize the viewer over watch time. Secondly, your content is going to be easier to consume for people who speak different languages, which is great. As I mentioned, this is just giving you a larger potential audience base to pull on. And what a shocker, I think that's a good thing. I don't think anybody's surprised that I think that. And third, the implementation of Google search results and external website links in YouTube search results is fascinating to me. It took me a while to think through why they would be doing this, and I think it really stems from YouTube maybe trying to alter the image of what they are. I think a lot of people who aren't power users of YouTube probably still view it as an entertainment-only platform, a place where you go to watch cats do silly things, haha, really funny. Maybe they're trying to create a more utilitarian or just more of a utility-based platform, where if somebody is looking for information, they go to YouTube. They don't just go to Google, they'll go to YouTube, because that is where you go to get content that will walk you through all of the steps that you need to do to replace a sink, to set up a microphone, to do X, Y, or Z. I think that may be what they're going for, trying to create more of a perception of YouTube, not as just an entertainment platform, but also an incredibly useful search engine that will help you solve all of your problems and give you the information that you're looking for. They're no longer just limiting that information to just on the platform either. Now, if they can't find the information on their platform, they will find a way to get you the information you're looking for. And the only reason I can think that they would do that is because they think it's going to help them. It's going to give them a better perception of what they are. I don't know why else they would be doing it, but let me know in the comments on YouTube, talking about YouTube, if you have any idea why they would be bringing in third-party website links to answer questions. Maybe it's another way to put ads. Maybe they will be sponsored website links. I have no idea. Let me know in the comments. And I guess we should conclude this with what you can do. First, add timestamps to all of your videos so you have chapter markers. If that's something you want to do, I think it will be beneficial for your users, or for your viewers rather. I think you can also make sure, or you should also make sure, that captions are engaged on all of your videos. I had to go through and manually engage them on a number of videos to get all the closed captioning. Even though they were automatically generated, it didn't show up on my YouTube channel. So I had to go through and manually activate closed captioning on a lot of my videos. And third, having a website that just mirrors your content, I think might be beneficial, because if they are going to be bringing in third-party Google results or third-party websites, if you mirror your content on your website, that's just another potential traffic source, because maybe you don't show up on the YouTube search results, your video doesn't show up in the top 10, but maybe your website will show up in the top 10. And I think we'll start to see more people harassing other websites. Hey, for $5, will you include a link to this article? Trying to game the Google search results. The answer is always no. I will not link to your blog post. Shut up. Shut up. No, I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. Like I said, I will link the YouTube blog post in case you want to check it out. And that is it for the news. Let's talk about what I've been testing. Like I always say, you have been listening to it because all I do now is just test audio gear. That's my life. I am using the Behringer BX2020. It's shameless at this point. It is clear that Behringer is trying to elicit Audio-Technica AT2020 vibes by the name. The thing that was shocking is when I got this, not only does the name look like the AT2020, the packaging looks nearly identical to that of the AT2020. It is crazy how shameless Behringer has gotten. But this is $50, $60, I don't even know how expensive it is. I bought it and forgot about it and it just arrived. But there you go. Behringer BX2020, it's interesting. Almost on principle. I hate it. I don't care how it compares to other microphones on principle. I hate it. I hate that Behringer does this. There you go. Let me know what you think of it, though. Maybe it's the greatest microphone ever. Maybe people will be EQing their U87s to sound like the Behringer BX2020. Next, let's talk about what you had to say. And the first comment comes from Finicky Fox, and this is from a couple of weeks ago from my Buy It for Life podcast episode, and she responded. The reason that the rich were so rich, Vimes reasoned, was because they managed to spend less money. Take Boots, for example. He earned $38 a month plus allowances. A really good pair of leather boots cost $50, but an affordable pair of boots, which were sort of okay for a season or two and then leaked like hell when the cardboard gave out, cost about $10. Those were the kind of boots Vimes always bought and wore until the soles were so thin that he could tell when he was in Ankh-Morpork on a foggy night by the feel of the cobbles. But the thing was that good boots lasted for years and years. A man who could afford $50 had a pair of boots that'd still be keeping his feet dry in 10 years' time, while the poor man who could only afford cheap boots would have spent $100 on boots in the same time and would still have wet feet. This was the Captain Samuel Vimes Boots theory of socioeconomic unfairness. Quoted Sir Terry Pratchett. Finicky, thank you very much for the comment, and thank you for sharing that. I remembered hearing about that theory, I just could not remember what it was called, and now all of you know what Captain Samuel Vimes's Boots theory of socioeconomic unfairness is. The Boots theory of socioeconomic unfairness. We are all more informed and more educated and more aware of the world. I do think that's an interesting point and a good point, because a lot of us have been in positions where we have to buy the cheap crap, and then we end up buying the same cheap crap because it's all we can afford once the cheap crap we had originally bought fails. Somebody else left a comment on that video saying, it sure is expensive to be poor. And that is a brilliant way to put it. It is very expensive to be poor because you end up spending more money based on the inherent crappy quality of the stuff you have to buy because it's all you can afford. Interesting stuff. Thank you very much, Finicky. And next, this is not a comment. This is a tweet. This is one of the few times where, for the What You Had to Say segment, I pull a tweet. And this is a tweet from the man, the myth, the legend, comic strip blogger. If you are watching YouTube, here it is. It says, my new #cartoon. Quote, microphone advice with a dash of spice. More cartoons from me here, comicstripblog.com. inspired by episode 270 of Podcast by Bandrew Says. And then you have a drawing of me sitting at my desk while I record my podcast. In one hand, I have the Shure SM7B microphone. The other hand is removing the foam pop filter. Directly in front of me is a Telefunken microphone. CSB even did get Telefunken on the microphone. Really amazing job there. And then there's a speech bubble coming out of my mouth. It says, "The SM7B is the best butt plug in the world. Just remember to clean it before you speak into it." I didn't know what I had said in last week's episode. I just talk, and if I don't have what I am planning to say planned out, if I don't have a proper outline, I go off the rails, and this is a perfect example of that. I didn't realize what I had said until I edited, and then I figured I'll just leave it in. But I got a lot of comments of people about that statement. I don't know what I say half the time. Forgive me. Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. I'm not Catholic, but I'm considering it because I need to repent for last week's episode. If you want to see more of CSB stuff, I'll link his Twitter I'll link the tweet in the episode notes. And last comment we have is from Bangs Naughty Bits. If you don't know, Bangs is the moderator for, I believe it's the Podcasts Reddit. Absolute legend. He says, "The barrier to entry is both increasing and decreasing. More and more creators have access to truly excellent gear at lower prices, making the barrier quite low. But there are more and more that sound good enough, that magical benchmark of quality that people use to decide if they will invest time into any given creator. As more are potentially reaching higher levels of good enough, it forces the rest to up their game, and that raises that overall bar for everyone. This, of course, means a $400 mic makes my $13 voice sound very much exactly worth that $13. And as long as I can convince myself that it is good enough, it's all good. Barriers be damned, though I would be served just as well with that $13 mic." I think that Bangs hit the nail right on the head. The expectation of viewers is increasing while the cost to achieve that bare necessity, that essential quality, is decreasing. You can get incredible sounding audio for $20, $50, $100, depending on what your personal threshold is. And with video, you can use your phone's camera. The ability to get high quality video and audio has become incredibly accessible. It has become democratized, I guess. It is now incredibly easy and affordable for somebody to create a YouTube channel and get their story out and let their voice be heard. And that's incredible. But simultaneously, yes, I do think Bangs is correct that the expectation of viewers is increasing as well. A 2006 quality video shot on a mini DV camera with the microphone on the camera 5 feet away is no longer going to be acceptable. That's no longer acceptable. And in 2006, to get the quality of video that is acceptable in 2021 would have been incredibly expensive. You would have ended up spending a couple $100 on a microphone, a couple $100 on an audio interface, and then a couple $100, if not upwards of $1,000 to get a 1080p camera. And then you wouldn't have even been able to upload it in 2006 to YouTube because I think it was still limited to 240 or 360. But I see no problem with that, and it makes perfect sense that there's almost an inverse correlation between the cost of entry and the expected production quality from the audience. As the ability to achieve higher quality production decreases, it only makes sense that the expected production quality of those watching or consuming the content would increase as well, because more people can now achieve that minimum production quality. I see zero issues with that. That's the way it ought to work. If it didn't work that way, if everybody was just okay with how things were in 2006 or hell, 1942, 1940, 1930, 1920, we would all still be using crappy sounding microphones and terrible looking cameras. Go look at a 1920s, 1930s, 1940s recording. It looks like trash. But I imagine if the expectation of the consumer never changed, that the production of those items would continue to decrease and it would be incredibly accessible to buy that equipment and make a video today. But that quality would no longer be accessible. And also, maybe it wouldn't be as affordable. It probably would be even more expensive due to limited resources. I don't know how all of that works. I don't know material sciences or any of that stuff, but I think it makes perfect sense. The inverse correlation, cost of entry to get high quality production decreases, expected production quality from the consumer increases. Makes perfect sense. And I think that's going to wrap up. I don't feel like doing Ask Bandrew today. I did not want to pull a bunch of audio and video and then pull out a bunch of microphones, run a bunch of tests. We will do it next week. And that's it. I appreciate you coming by for this week's episode. I love you. I hope you had an amazing week. I hope your upcoming week is awesome as well, if that's what you want. If you want your week to be terrible, I hope your week is terrible. I hope the week is whatever you want it to be. May you have an amazing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Next Sunday, I will talk at you, the Behringer BX2020. I will talk to you next week. Bye.
This has been a Geeks Rising production. Your executive producer is Bandrew Scott. For more information, head over to www.geeksrising.com.